Yes.
What are the teams?
That's the team. This is the team.
Us question mark.
So the 5 of you against the 6 of them.
No, I want to be on the team of 5.
No, we're about to be less people.
Fewer people.
Ow, it's hurting me.
Fewer people.
It's hurting me.
Do you know how to know the difference between when you use less and when you use fewer? Have I told you this?
What?
Have I taught you this? When you use fewer and when you use less?
Oh yeah, less
It
is
drives
something
my
you can't
voice
count.
crazy because anytime someone misuses it, they just go, yeah, they can't get it out of their
Yes, less
You
is
use-
something you can't count.
Yes, fewer is something you can count. So it's
It's like much and
you
many.
have fewer people, not less people.
Is it much and many or something like that? Like much is for
Jake.
you can't count. Or I can't remember. It's something like that.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
It's like the positive side. Like more. I can't remember. Something.
Anyway, let's just go with fewer and less. You ready? You need to move. You need to this way. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. So don't knock that over when you stand up. Are you going to be able to stand up without hurting yourself? Because
I'll
your
try
coach will
my
never
best.
forgive you.
I'll just be
Hey,
back.
by the way, good win last night, guys. Good job. Hopefully we can bring one home tonight. You know what happens if we win tonight?
Huh?
We get to play at Southeast Community College
Where's
on
that?
Saturday.
What's Southeast?
It's in Lincoln. Big joke. Great big joke. We get to go play.
Wait, where's that one red
gym
gym we played in last?
So, there you
It
go.
was like the. it was
For,
right before
we'll
the
be
mission
playing
trip.
for 5th
That
place.
big red gym where we like went up top.
Whoever wins the Whiting OCA game. Yep. Okay, true or false? Here we go. God the Father testified of Christ's deity. Okay, I'm going to wait. Sorry. It might be a long wait, but I'm going to wait until you're paying attention. Are we there? Thank you. True or false? God the Father testified of Christ's deity when he spoke from heaven at Jesus' baptism. Go. Grace? True. That is true. True or false?
Probably carried so hard.
Do they have names?
No.
What do you name?
We're us question.
Well, that's Grace's team because she just had the first question. So we'll have to wait.
No, that's the wrong one.
No, we
Wrong
are
one.
us.
We don't have a
We are
point.
not us.
We're us.
We're 824.
What? No, we're
You
not.
could have just
four codes.
erased the point.
We'll be Gigi and Grace's team.
They're Grace's team.
We are Gigi and Grace's team.
Just put Gigi.
Wait, what?
Facts.
Okay, we're going to have to figure out what theirs is.
We're Grace's team.
True or false? Misunderstanding is a common theme in the Gospel of John, which is seen in the disciples, the people, and the Jewish leaders. Go. Jake.
True.
That's Jake's team.
JJ. JJ.
Or Kobe's team.
Okay, there you
It should be for Kobe.
go.
Jake's Junior.
True or false? The Jewish rulers rejected Jesus as their Messiah because they were ignorant of the scriptures that prophesied about his coming. Go. Grace? False. Claire? True. True. They were ignorant about the scriptures that prophesied the coming of the Messiah. They didn't understand.
Yeah.
So it's not that they didn't know it was false.
That'd be so bad.
Next question. True or false? The Feast of Tabernacles celebrated the time of planting grain. Go. Just a tad. Caitlin.
Trolls.
50-50.
False.
It is false. I should have just given you the answer because he said it when he should have.
He said trolls.
Trolls. Nice. Don't do it again. True or false? The other gospel accounts record all the same stories as the Gospel of John. Go. Ben?
False.
That is false. True or false? The Feast of Tabernacles was a 12-day celebration. Go. Grace?
False.
False.
It was 7 days, right?
True or false? Most of the events in the Gospel of John take place during the last third of Jesus' ministry. Go. Hannah.
True.
True. True or false? The people were astonished that Jesus spoke as a highly educated man, even though he had never studied under a rabbi. Go. Elijah.
True.
That is true. True or false? The Feast of Tabernacles was also called the Feast of Tents. Go. Grace.
False.
False.
What
Did it
was it
have an
called?
enemy?
Feast of Booths.
Oh.
B-O-O-T.
The final Star Wars movie was released in December. What episode was it? Go. Or is it? Elijah?
Technically 9.
Technically 9. Episode 9, yes.
Yeah.
Because,
Is there's like one in between 3 and 4, and then there's Han Solo, and then
oh,
there's...
freaking hell. That's none of those. No. The actual Star Wars movies. They're episodes.
Did you like it?
First were 3, 4, 5. No. First were 4, 5, 6. Then came 1, 2, 3, which shall not be mentioned. And then
Why?
7, 8, 7,
Did you not like those? The third one was good. Come on, you have to admit.
1, 2, and 3.
The third one was great.
I have not
Those
seen
were, those
episode
were
9
our
yet.
time.
You haven't seen
I have
it?
not seen it yet. It was a busy Christmas.
1, 2, and 3.
Very busy Christmas.
I like it.
True or false? We did get to see Frozen 2 though.
That's
Oh, terrible. We got something. True or false? The people who witnessed the feeding of the 5,000 were more connected with seeing Jesus. Were more concerned with seeing Jesus perform more miracles than they were with his spiritual message. Go, Ben.
True.
That is true.
Playing the question.
Next question. Name a witness to Jesus' deity. Go. Grace.
John the Baptist.
John the Baptist. Name another. Go. Just a little early. Jake.
The Holy Spirit.
Nope. Oh, yeah, over here, Hannah.
His own works.
His own works.
I can't remember the last.
Name another. Go.
Are you kidding me?
You're
Dude,
just
what?
too
That's
fast.
not even
Kate.
fair.
Yeah. God the Father.
I'm not going to stand
Very
up
good.
anymore.
Name another. Go. Grace.
His word.
Technically, yeah.
Like.
Just be more specific. Be more
Half.
specific.
Give a half point.
No, don't give a point.
His claiming his own deity.
Ben.
The Old Testament.
The scriptures. The scriptures.
I used your study guide.
What word means to make alive? Go.
Oh.
I think that was Kate.
Quicken.
Yes. Have I told you about when we used to recite the Apostles' Creed when I was little? And it would say, he will come again to judge the quick and the dead. And I'm like, well, I'm not dead, but I'm not fast, so what am I gonna do? I didn't understand. And that my parents told me, no, that means the living and the dead. Well, then why don't they just say that? And now they just say that. He'll come again to judge the living and the dead.
When did they change that?
Well, in my lifetime, but they're probably still churches that go with the original quick and dead, but yeah. To which Old Testament figure did the people compare Jesus after the feeding of the 5,000? Go. Anna, you were just Caitlin. Moses, yes.
Well, let's say.
There's another comparison that's made, so I just wanted to make sure I had it right. What did the people want to do with Jesus immediately following the feeding of the 5,000? Go. Elijah.
Make him king.
Make him king. Near what city did the feeding of the 5,000 take place? Go. Grace.
Galilee.
Nope. Claire.
Capernaum.
Capernaum. I hope I didn't ask this on your last Kieser quiz. We'll see. You'll tell me if I did. Which Husker sports team recently hired its first ever assistant head coach? Go. Yes.
Volleyball.
Volleyball. That's good. Did I ask that?
That was a guess. I know for a fact.
I'm
Did I ask that?
You always ask volleyball questions, so I just said volleyball.
Oh, there you go. I do
That's their
ask
first
volleyball.
assistant
Yep.
coach.
So John Cook has an assistant head coach for the first time. Tyler Hildebrand is his name, I believe. How many of Jesus' miracles are recorded in the Gospel of John?
I'm still
We both
Go.
did, right?
Grace?
7.
7. Next question. On what did the final ceremony of the Feast of Tabernacles focus? Go. Kate?
On the celebrating the coming of the Messiah, or the future coming of the Messiah and the living water.
I mean, oh.
She went too far. She got to say too much.
I feel like I did too much.
Okay, I'll give it to you. Yeah, water. Water. I mean literally. What did it focus on? Not the meaning of it.
Living water.
With what or whom did Jesus compare himself in his bread of life discourse? Go. Wow, you were tied. I'm going to go with Claire.
Manna?
Manna.
Just rock, paper, scissors.
What?
Just rock, paper, scissors. If they're tied, then that's not me.
Sorry, Grace. In the Gospel of John, God calls people to himself through what? Go. Grace.
His word.
The preaching of the word. The preaching of the word. Name one characteristic of the true bread. Go. Ben?
Eternal.
You can't eat it.
No. Oh, I know.
Hannah?
It is a person.
The true bread is a person. That is one. Name another. Go. Whoa. Ben.
Gives life.
Gives life. Name another. Go. Kate.
I don't know anything.
Eternally satisfied.
Satisfies. Yeah, satisfies eternally. The Jews had a hard time accepting Jesus in part because of where he was raised. In what town was Jesus raised? Go. Elijah?
Nazareth.
Nazareth. When Jesus walked on water toward the disciples, he said, "It is I." What is the literal meaning of those words? Go. Grace? I am.
Woo! If you'd said Yahweh, would that have been
Name
fine too?
one of the teams in
Alright.
this year's Super Bowl. Go. Ben?
The Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs.
Very good. Only
You
team
said
that
more.
matters.
I was
I
Who
know, I was
knows who
gonna
the
say
other
San
team is? Who
Francisco.
cares who the other team is? It doesn't matter. Chiefs.
Say
Go
it.
Chiefs.
Say it.
I know who the other team is.
San
I know it sounds like
I'm
What
not
are
going
they?
to
What are they?
ask. I'm not going to ask. No. They shall not be mentioned.
same game analogy.
Okay, who was the only person to speak in Jesus' defense when the Pharisees confronted him? Go. Jake?
Nicodemus.
Nicodemus. Why did Jesus send the disciples to cross the Sea of Galilee knowing they would encounter a terrible storm? Go. Grace?
So that they would go through the struggles and be recorded and it would grow their faith.
Yes, to grow their faith. Where did Jesus give the bread of life discourse? Go. Elijah?
Galilee?
Woo!
What?
He said Galilee.
No, he did not.
Galilee.
I did not.
Yes,
He just
you did.
answered for me.
Bruh, you literally said
Do you want
Galilee.
to hear the correct answer?
Actually, he
Say
said
it
like
again.
outward or
Synagogue near
something.
Capernaum.
Yes, the synagogue in Capernaum.
He answered
The
for
feeding
me.
took place near
He said
Capernaum.
Galilee.
The synagogue was in Capernaum. Yeah, the synagogue in Capernaum. Okay, who said this? Leave here and go to Judea that your disciples may also see the works that you do. Go. Grace?
His brothers.
His brothers, Jesus' brothers. Who said this? Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. Go. Ben?
Disciples.
No, one disciple in particular. Yes. Peter.
Nice, Grace. Good job.
He was a disciple, but it was Peter. Who said this? Does our law judge a man without first giving him a hearing and learning what he does? Go. Elijah?
Nicodemus.
Nicodemus. Who said this? Sir, give us this bread always. Go. Kate. The Jewish people. The Jewish people. Who said this? There is a boy here with 5 loaves and 2 fish, but what are they for so many? Go. Andrew. Who said this? Who said this? This is a hard saying. Who can listen to it? Go. Kate.
His disciples.
Yeah, can you define that a little more?
Are you asking for
Do you
one?
mean his 12 disciples or
the
the?
people who weren't his 12
Okay,
disciples?
so the disciples generally, not the 12.
Lucky
the
guess.
Is
disciples
that gonna?
generally.
Okay. Is it gonna be like
To
matching?
what city is the Engage Global Mission Trip going? Go. Grace.
Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Which
Well,
city?
what city? What city?
Oh, Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Who's going to Engage Global? Anybody? I am
Is
too.
that a question? Okay.
Bring warm jammies and slippers and clothes. It's cold. I've spent
I
4
wanna go.
winters in Minnesota, so not far from Minneapolis. We may take a little detour and drive through the St. Wilfred campus, either on our way up or
Campus?
on our way back. Probably on our way back. Where I went to
Right, you better
where I went to
stand up
college.
first.
Just cause. I can't.
You should ask where you went
It'll
to.
take 20 minutes out of
How
our.
many people are coming on that?
30. We have 30 students. 30 students and
You just answer a question.
5 adults.
So
30
who's
students.
all coming for adults?
It's Grace is carrying us, and it's
I
kind of
am.
hard.
Mr. Red is.
It's not
Mr. Schrog is.
What's
Mrs.
contribute?
Werner is.
So, Mr. Hood.
Who's my 5th adult? Who's my 3rd woman?
From the
Mrs.
Minnesota.
Werner. What?
Mrs. Warner.
Mrs. Werner and me. I remembered me.
Good job.
Miss Morris?
You got a missed call.
For girls?
Yes. Do I have
Tegan.
her? Oh, Tegan Musselman.
What?
Tegan Musselman is
Huh?
our
I would've went to that one.
Who'd that be?
You got a
other
missed
adult.
call from 934-13.
She's legally an adult.
I'm glad she's going along because with
Some of the
Mr.
charges.
Rudd and Mr. Schrog and Miss Werner, I would spend the entire time feeling like I'm 2 feet tall.
Wait,
So, at
where's,
least with Tegan.
That, she's probably one of the mature ones in that.
Right.
where does
She's
Tegan
the
go to
mature
college?
She is actually taking a gap year, I believe.
Oh.
She is.
I don't know what she'll do next year.
Oh, what?
You don't go to college.
Okay, so you got that one right. Give one reason why the feeding of the 5,000 was important enough to be recorded in all 4 Gospels. Go.
Important to be in all 4.
Give one reason why the feeding of the 5,000 was important enough to be recorded in all 4 Gospels. Go. Yes.
It was a public miracle to a lot of people.
Yeah, there are a whole
Did you
lot of
say
people there.
Feeding of
No,
4,000 or
it was
5,000?
performed in front of so many.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
that's one of them. Name another. Go.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Give one reason why, other than it was performed in front of so many people. Give one reason why the feeding of the 5,000 was important enough to be recorded in all 4 Gospels. It's the only miracle it is. Go.
No.
Well, we need to study something, don't we?
Maybe.
I can like see it.
Yeah. Oh,
Look what you did. Mine
Amy
was.
Welcome
did
back.
shows. So wait, repeat the
Move
question.
your hand from your mouth so she can hear what you're saying.
other than it was performed in front of so many people, name one reason or give one reason why the feeding of the 5,000 was important enough to be recorded in all 4 Gospels.
Because it showed his ability to multiply food, and he also gave it. I don't know.
Oh. Well, that doesn't.
Nobody? Nobody?
Rose.
Can I guess?
Okay.
It shows he's like symbolism to the true bread of life.
Yeah, it was a picture of Christ. It was a picture of who Christ is, that he is the bread of life.
Everyone but Grace needs to say.
And he is the one that sustains, and he is the one that feeds, and he is the one that keeps us alive. So, yeah, so it's a picture of Christ. Name another, go. Ben?
It shows his authority.
That's not quite right, yes.
Shows his deity.
Not quite right. It was a miracle of creation. It was a miracle of creation.
I said
He
he
made
multiplied
something
food.
out of not much. He made something more out of just a very little bit. So those are the 3 things. According to John 7:1, why did Jesus choose to spend time in Galilee rather than in Judea? Go. Elijah?
So because like it wasn't like the Jewish rulers were trying to arrest him, and it wasn't his time yet.
Yeah, so the opposition of the Pharisees was growing, and they wanted to kill him. And so he was staying away because it was not yet his time, his hour, his hora, was not yet. Which leads to the next question. What word did Jesus use when he told his brothers, "It's not time for me to go to the feast"? Go. Wow. That was everybody. Caitlin. Yeah.
Kairos.
He used the word kairos. Now, you need to know why, because I asked you why. This isn't for points, but can anybody explain to me why he used kairos instead of hora? Yeah.
God hadn't told him to go yet.
Yeah, it literally wasn't time. He was planning to go. He just wasn't going to go with his brothers or at his brother's behest. He was going to go when God said go. So it isn't so much that it wasn't his time to die yet. And he didn't want to make a big fuss. He didn't want to draw a bunch of attention to himself because of that. But the word kairos means more literally, it's just not the right time to go yet. And of course, he did end up going. Why is the Feast of Tabernacles called that? Go. Caitlin?
Because the people would come and make little miniature tabernacles to like symbolize the tabernacle.
Okay, they would make little miniature tabernacles, but it wasn't symbolizing the tabernacle. Go ahead and give them 1 point for that. Yeah.
Is it worth 2 points?
Like, can I just explain?
What was it
Can I
symbolizing?
explain like what they like, why the feast was, or like what it was for?
Tell me whatever you want to tell me. I'm happy to hear it.
But
Like,
you won't
get
get
points?
No.
I don't know. I'll let you
So
know
it's
after you
for
tell me.
like they were celebrating the when Moses was not Moses. Was it Moses? Yes, I don't know. But they were in the desert and they were just like the tabernacles and stuff like that. Yep, I'm done.
Thank you for
No,
coming.
go ahead.
It's fantastic.
I'm just affirming to you that it was Moses.
No,
And they
He's
were
done.
in the desert in what?
they had a tabernacle and they worshiped Jesus and then they had
Worship
manna
Jesus. Sir. Jesus hadn't come in.
and then
Worship
their
God.
water came out of a rock. I know. And then
I think you need to. You're still
quail and manna.
you're still
Keep going.
you're still equating it with the tabernacle, and that's not what it's equated with.
They
Claire?
were wandering in the desert and making homes wherever they went.
Right. They were living in tents, living in
Wherever they went, God
makeshift
went.
houses, wherever they went. Give them another one. Now there's another connection though too, because the Feast of Tabernacles was celebrating God's provision for the people of Israel during their wandering in the desert. That is part of the Feast of Tabernacles. There's a second part that they are celebrating. It's a feast of thanksgiving for God's provision of the Israelites in the desert, but it's also a feast of provision during the harvest. It's a celebration of the harvest and thanksgiving to God for the harvest. And remember, I told you that because grapes and olives are kind of difficult and temperamental, the farmers would make makeshift huts out in the fields during harvest time. And so it's also commemorating that and looking at that. So it's called the Feast of Tabernacles for both reasons. And I think you were about to say something that's an important point, so why don't you mention that?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh. It's like looking forward to Christ coming.
And it's also a very messianic, that doesn't have so much to do with this, but yes, the Feast of Tabernacles, it has to do with an upcoming question, is very much a messianic festival, that it's looking forward to the coming of Messiah and the provision that he will bring as well. Okay. What was Peter's answer when Jesus asked if the 12 were going to leave him also? Go. Ben?
Where shall we go? Or will you to?
No, I said Galilee and I got it wrong, and so now you only answered once. So sit down, buddy.
No, keep
What?
Give me your answer.
Are you two gonna leave us?
That was Jesus' question. Are
Oh,
you
okay.
going to leave too? What was
Where
Peter's
else
answer?
shall we go?
Okay, give him 1 point for that. What else did he say?
Like where should we go? You are the Messiah, the Christ, and have the words of eternal life.
That last part is the correct one. Lord, to whom shall we go? Where would we go? In other words, Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. Was his answer. And then I'm going to ask you to explain the significance of that as well. What is the significance of Peter's words? No points. Anybody want to answer that? Or you just want me to answer? You want me to answer?
Yeah.
So Jesus has just given this really difficult teaching, right, about eating his flesh and drinking his blood, and people are like, I'm out. All kinds of people are, I'm done. I don't want to follow this guy anymore. And so then Jesus gets his disciples alone and says, so are you going to leave too? And what Peter is saying is, you're Messiah. What better place is there for us than with you? Where else are we going to go? You alone are Messiah. And so Peter is recognizing who Jesus really is. And that's important. That's significant because most people did not recognize who he was. But Peter did. And that's significant. Next question. Who is the coach of the Husker men's basketball team? Go.
Mike Shanahan.
Are you kidding me?
I forgot.
You don't know the Husker men's basketball?
Nobody follows.
If I asked Duke or Kansas, you'd know that.
No, actually, I only
This
know
is your
Duke.
home
They're
state.
good.
Nobody knows?
I know.
What does it start with?
Creighton.
His first name begins with F and his last name begins with H.
Frank. Something.
Frederick.
Frank.
I already said Frank.
Fred is right.
Fred.
Fred Herman.
Quimbley.
Fred Hank.
Fred Hoiberg, and if you don't know that, then you don't know the last question, which is what was Coach Hoiberg's nickname in
Fred
college?
Hoiberg.
Oh.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know.
Fred.
Fred
Hoiberg.
Hoiberg was one of the greatest basketball players to ever play for Iowa State. He was from Ames.
He played for Iowa State, but
He
he
was
coached in Nebraska.
extraordinarily, well, he has a family.
That's
background.
disrespectful on both
I
sides.
think his grandfather coached in Nebraska. I mean, he has a background in Nebraska too. But anyway, he was from Ames. He was so popular that they called him the Mayor of Ames. So his nickname was the Mayor. Okay, now here's your essay. This is the part where you probably want to pay attention. I'm asking you what the significance of Jesus' words were on the last day of the feast, and then how they relate to the feast. So I want you to talk about the messianic portion of, or the messianic significance of Jesus' words and how that relates to the feast. And then the connection with water and who Jesus is. And then what was being commemorated and how that connects to Jesus as well. So take each part of this feast and connect it to who Jesus is. And then, so that's the portion where you tell me what you know about the feast. And then I'm going to ask you, how has Jesus been living water to you? So there's going to be a portion of it that is your understanding of the feast, and then a portion that's going to apply it to your own life. And you know, where are you with the one who is living water? Yeah.
So like the last day of the feast, when the priest would take the water, they would go march around, and then take the water and march around the altar.
Yeah, and you can include that, but I'm less concerned with details than I am in connecting the dots between Jesus as Messiah and this.
So like what those things represented?
Yeah, what they represented. Any questions? Okay, do we have enough time for me to tell you what the test looks like? What time are we out of here?
33. It's like 30.
Why are you going to tell us what the test looks like?
Why am I going to tell you what the test looks like? Because it helps some people.
We tried, by the way.
Both get candy. Yeah. Both get candy. Woo!
Thank you, Grace.
Double candy, boys. Oh, okay, pretty relaxed.